What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp. It is September 14th. I know some of you are like, Sean, what are you doing here? It is 11 a.m. Eastern, live as we're doing this. I'm trying out something different. It's not that different. People have done these like forever. But I thought that I would give it a shot. We try a lot of different content at Fightful. And I was just kind of running a pilot for myself, so to speak, to decide if I want to do these live news updates where I kind of update you guys on things that are going on in the wrestling world. We talk about them, all that good stuff. Now, we do have the Listen Ya Boy, which is every Wednesday, varying times depending on when the schedule permits, usually 2 or 3 p.m. these days. But I wanted to do a midday or a morning news update just to give it a shot, see how you guys like it, see if there was super chat engagement, to see if you guys were interested in these stories. It will probably be a lot of things that we don't necessarily cover on Listen Ya Boy because there's so much wrestling news. Like, we have 30 stories a day over at Fightful.com and FightfulWrestling.com. So wanted to give it a little bit of a go. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, tap the bell for notifications. I know it's really cliche to say all that stuff, but it's also a fantastic way for you guys to help us let other people know that we exist. So we're going to go ahead and get into this news. I'll remind you a couple times. If you want to donate a super chat that gets your question or statement read on the air on any of our shows, whether it be the post-Raw show, post-Smackdown, Wednesday shows, like anything like that, you get your question or statement read on the air. So there's a whole lot to get into. Mandy Rose moving from SmackDown to Raw. It was announced on Friday that Mandy Rose would be moved over because The Miz persuaded SmackDown and Raw to do that because they're on USA and Fox and he has a bunch of influence. I thought this was a really clever storyline way to make this happen. I thought it was good that Mandy Rose went on Instagram and kind of covered up for the fact that she had not been on SmackDown since SummerSlam. Said she'd been trying to find out for weeks why she wasn't on SmackDown, and now she figured out it's because of The Miz. However, if there's one thing that SmackDown doesn't need, it's less women that haven't been in the title picture. Their roster right now, as of this moment, is Alexa Bliss, like probably 5-time women's champion. Bayley, current women's champion. Carmella is inactive, former women's champion, former Money in the Bank winner, former Battle Royal winner. Dana Brooke never really got a fair shake. Lacey Evans has been in and out of the title picture ever since she started. Naomi, Battle Royal winner, multiple-time former champion. You got Nikki Cross, who hasn't won the title but has been in the tag title picture and has gotten a fair share of title shots. She's getting another one. Sasha Banks, multiple-time champion, involved in a storyline with Bayley, which we will talk about momentarily. And Tamina, who she's had 8 matches this year, and 5 of them have been top contender matches or women's title matches. They just lost Sonya Deville as a result of this whole storyline. Now they're sending Mandy Rose over there. Raw's roster has Asuka, Bianca Belair, Billie Kay, Charlotte Flair, although she's inactive, Lana, Liv Morgan, Mandy Rose, Mickie James, Natalya, Nia, Peyton Royce, Ruby Riott, Shayna Baszler, Zelina Vega. Man, and I mean, you do have Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. They can move over to SmackDown, but it doesn't look like that's in the cards right now. I probably would in order to balance some of that stuff out. But man, it's looking pretty bare over there on the SmackDown side. And I know they have an hour less to work with. But I don't know if I would actively remove people. Maybe they're going to bring some people up. But then you got Retribution, which is apparently Raw exclusive because nothing says chaos quite like being exclusive in your chaos to one brand. Somebody says, don't forget Carmella and her new gimmick. Well, that is not confirmed, and I already said Carmella. So, yeah, it's been the same old thing on SmackDown for a while. It's just we had that fantastic Bayley-Sasha storyline to kind of satisfy us for a little bit. And removing people from that roster, from that women's roster, I think is just a bad idea. Will they move Peyton or Billy over there? Yeah, I would imagine they would. I would move Peyton over there if I were WWE. I would probably move Bianca Belair over there too, and Street Profits over to SmackDown. I'd find a way to make that happen. But as of right now, I look at that roster and I think that's not a good idea short term. Long term, maybe it is. We'll see how that works. Reminder, donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air. And it is integral in our decision to keep these going, these news updates. I mentioned Sasha Banks. She has been added to this week's SmackDown, or announced rather. There was a commercial that aired on NFL on Fox. It said Sasha Banks is to address the attack from Bayley. I do not like this. I just before the stands come at me, I love Sasha Banks. I think she's one of the best performers in the world. Probably right up there, if not my favorite person to watch in the ring. Right up there. I don't think she should appear for a long time. I think she should sit out until they do a draft and she should go to Raw. Or I would have Bayley approach Miz backstage and be like, hey, I heard you got Mandy Rose off of SmackDown. How can I get that done for Sasha Banks? I would have some interaction there. If this is going to be Sasha Banks on Friday Night SmackDown, I think it should be Bayley mocking, imitating, pretending to be Sasha Banks. Just run it that way. I don't need to see Sasha Banks 2 weeks after she got Pillmanized for 10 minutes on the show. That was a fantastic beatdown. It was a wonderful beatdown. But WWE's got to work on selling these injury angles a little bit more. Big E was off TV this week after he got beat up by Sheamus. You got to have these people really sell these beatdowns. Because they just miss a week, yeah, well, whatever. If they miss a while, they change brands, that's something a little bit more authentic to me. Like, I mean, there are MMA fighters that get knocked out. They can't have physical contact with anybody for at least 90 days. But I'm supposed to believe that Sasha Banks got a chair wrapped around her neck and stomped on, and they're bringing her back 2 weeks later. That's why I'm hoping that this is more of something like Bayley comes out dressed like Sasha, acting like Sasha, mocking Sasha, trying to embarrass Sasha. That's what I want to see out of this. Reminder, guys, I've got a new show every Monday evening, Monday afternoon for some of you guys. Monday Night Live with Kenny McIntosh of Inside the Ropes. It is on their feed. Make sure you guys go check that out. And if you want to directly support Fightful, reminder, donate a super chat, or you can subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. A lot of you might not even know what FightfulSelect.com is. A significant portion of the wrestling news that you all get every week starts at FightfulSelect.com. We post news there, exclusive news, every single day. We have 6 or 7 different shows. If you guys miss Alex Palowski on Raw or SmackDown reviews, he does his own over there. If you guys miss me on AEW and NXT reviews, I do my own over there. Also, every week, I do a Q&A show where you get a few questions, and I'll answer them. We usually get over 100 per week. You can ask really about anything about wrestling. I do a show every Monday called the Backstage Report. Now, that has about 20-25 minutes of exclusive news that you'll only get at Fightful. Contract updates, injury updates, stats updates. This week on Fightful Select's Backstage Report, I have news on Authors of Pain, how they were received backstage, Davey Boy Smith Jr. and MLW, Britt Baker, what's up with her and her health status, Billie Kay and how that Raw Underground segment went, the NXT Performance Center and what all is going on there. Anthony Green, I spoke to him. That interview is about to drop on Fightful.com. He just got signed by WWE. I have more on him over at Select. I have contract updates on Miro, the former Rusev. I was able to get some details there. Tracy Williams of Ring of Honor. I heard about how some Ring of Honor wrestlers are stuck overseas. I've learned more about Paul Heyman's influence over Roman Reigns' storyline. And I spoke to Gerald Briscoe about the WWE cutbacks and was able to find out some more information as well. So head over to FightfulSelect.com, subscribe, show us a little bit of support. The next story I wanted to talk about, AEW hitting 1 million. Great number. Really awesome. I personally thought it is really good that Dustin Rhodes, 51 years old, as good as he's ever been in the ring. Maybe not as good as like 93, 94 Dustin Rhodes. That was a really good Dustin Rhodes. But really great. And he's acting like El Hijo del Dusty Rhodes, doing this lucha stuff, doing Hurricane Ranas off the second rope and Canadian Destroyers and all this. It is amazing. It is amazing that he was able to main event that, do it really well, have a good match with Brody Lee, and it stood out. It was a good match. It was good within the story. You got Miro's debut. They didn't lean too heavily on the Elite. They didn't really lean too heavily on Jon Moxley or MJF either. So they got 1 million viewers without a bunch of Elite stuff, without a bunch of Moxley stuff, and without a bunch of MJF stuff. I know a lot of people will jump to conclusions and say, oh, well, that's what's holding them down. No, you're not going to tell me that more over wrestlers on the show is going to harm them. It's just a growing brand, man. It's growing. It's getting better. TNT has to feel really good right now. I mean, they're paying a fraction of what USA Network and Fox are paying. I believe it was under $45 million a year for AEW. Cheers, Powerade Zero. I believe it was under $45 million a year to get 1 million viewers and do really well in that demographic. Where WWE is, I want to say 5 times as much, and they ain't doing 5 times the numbers or 5 times the demo. So when you look at it from a dollars and cents perspective, completely black and white, on the outside looking in, it looks like TNT got themselves a really, really good deal, all things considered, with AEW Dynamite. And they're just getting better. I thought after that All Out show it might see, I mean, sometimes there's the post pay-per-view bump. I thought this might be the one where it either plateaued, rose a little bit, or maybe even sunk a little bit because of the tone of that crowd and how tough it was, and it didn't quite live up to AEW pay-per-view standards, but they got that positive buzz going right afterwards. Amazing. Reminder, if you're asking questions in the live chat, donate a super chat, they will get answered. Throwback 27 sends one and says, morning, bud. Sasha should stay out till Survivor Series and make her win the Rumble. Mandy going to Raw could foreshadow Otis losing Money in the Bank to someone and moving Heavy Machinery over to Raw. Well, this wouldn't be as much of an issue if they hadn't said that the Money in the Bank winner could challenge for their brand's championship. Because otherwise, Otis could just challenge for whatever title that he wanted. What I would like to see is Mandy Rose win the tag titles at some point, move over and kind of do that. I mean, that's her golden ticket, is to find a tag team partner and move back and forth to SmackDown. As far as Otis, they change their rules all the time, so who knows if they'll stick to that stick to that rule that, oh, well, you got to challenge for your brand's title. We'll see how that goes. I don't personally think that will necessarily stick. If they want to switch the storyline up accordingly, they will. In the draft, though, I would move Usos and New Day off the same brand. I'd move Street Profits, Viking Raiders off the same brand. I would probably move Viking Raiders and Andrade and Angel Garza over to SmackDown just to get them away from Street Profits, or move Street Profits over. They have just done those matches to death. Done them to death. Don't want to see them anymore. As for Sasha, I want her to stay off until she gets drafted, or don't announce that she was drafted and have her as a mystery partner for Survivor Series, and then she shows up and Bayley flips out and leaves because they can compete against each other on inter-brand shows, and we've seen Raw versus SmackDown in the past there, but she needs to win the Royal Rumble. Will Ware sends a super chat and says, off topic, Joe Burrow's debut, impressive or sad? So the game was sad. The game was sad. It's the most Bengals thing ever, and I couldn't even be mad. But Joe Mixon never fumbles. Joe Burrow's not going to throw a ton of picks, especially shovel pass picks. AJ Green's not going to get a lot of push penalties there. Randy Bullock, I don't know if the injury is legit, but he's not going to miss a lot of field goals. That was sad. That was very sad. He did not throw any touchdowns. Joe Burrow didn't. He ran for one, which is promising. Andy Dalton was a better runner. He's better at scrambling than people give him credit for. But at no point when he scrambled with the ball did I feel comfortable. Joe Burrow, I do. His offensive line let him get hit a lot really hard, and you can save the "saw that coming" comments. Everybody did, but it doesn't make it any better. It was promising. I wouldn't say impressive. I'd say promising. Simone Johnson said that she's undergoing her third knee surgery. Man, I hope she gets to feeling better soon. She had indicated in the past that she blew out her knee in, I think, last July. And I think she stated on the Swerve City podcast that was a reason why she signed with WWE instead of going to NYU like she originally planned. And she had said yesterday on Twitter that she's looking forward to her knees not popping out anymore. I hope she gets better soon. I know a lot of people are like, oh man, this is a big setback. People that I talk to at the Performance Center, one, they like her. Two, there's no like real strict timetable, so to speak, on her. And there's no real indication that they're trying to rush her into anything. I've heard that she's like years away from being ready. Then again, there have been some people that did end up getting rushed. And I'm completely for it. I dig it. I like that she's there. I hope that she heals up. I hope that she sticks with this because, I mean, it's in her blood. It's in her blood that The Rock, Peter Maivia, Rocky Johnson, if she takes to it even half as quickly as The Rock does, then you got yourself a megastar. If she's just somebody that ends up being a role player, a character, that's pretty good too. That's pretty solid. She'll get a lot of comparisons to her dad and to other family members, but here's to hoping that she feels better soon and that she's back to training and all that. She was even seen in the crowd multiple times during a lot of the Performance Center Raws. Patel Ron 6 says, you should finish the Raw review at 11:59 p.m. because SRS doesn't work Tuesdays. I try not to work Tuesday nights, correct. I treasure my time off a little bit more these days. But, yeah, I wish I could wrap that show up at 11:59, but unfortunately, we usually go about an hour 10 on that Raw podcast. I used to try to keep everything within an hour. AJ Styles wants to wrestle Triple H. He said during a Twitch stream that he wanted to get in the ring with him, not just because he's Triple H. He says he loves to learn from guys like that. And he says it was the same for Undertaker. He wanted to learn from him, and that he's tagged with Triple H, but he's never gone up against him. He says that he would even go to NXT and make it happen. Triple H has said that he never wants to wrestle in NXT. He never wants to do that type of thing. But I think that this is something that could happen on a Saudi show if they ever do them again. A Super Showdown, like one of those Australia Stadium shows, something like that. This seems like something that they would promote and say, first time ever. Could they do it on like a pay-per-view? Sure. But I don't know that we need a Triple H necessarily in a bunch of storylines and all that. I think this is the type of match you could throw out there cold, build it as first time ever, and quite frankly, I think they're probably better off not trusting WWE build. And Triple H didn't wrestle at WrestleMania, so you got to wonder what's there. What's left for him? What's he going to do? Because I thought for sure we would see him every single year. This was a unique circumstance, but there were no plans anyway. Got a couple more stories, so donate a super chat if you want your question or statement read on the air. If you're watching live or even after, thumbs up, subscribe, tap that bell for notifications. It really helps us. And, of course, check out, I've got a ton of interviews up from every company. Anthony Green, recent WWE signing, will be up in mere minutes. Darren Young, Fred Rosser of New Japan, that's up Friday. Ricky Starks of AEW, Matt Cardona of AEW, Thunder Rosa of AEW and NWA, those are up as well. Tracy Williams of Ring of Honor. I've got tons of Impact Wrestling interviews, of course. Go check those out, guys. That stuff really helps us out. Miro. So he gave that brass ring line that a lot of people said, oh my God, why can't they just stop talking about WWE? I don't have a problem with it. That guy spent 10 years there, many of which were wasted creatively. Chris Jericho said that he gave him that line. I don't have a problem on earth with WWE and AEW taking these shots at each other. And if you're some dope saying this will be their downfall, no, it won't. No, it won't. We're giving away the results of Raw. Was that the downfall for WCW? No. Was Eric Bischoff challenging Vince McMahon to a fight their downfall? No. Was any of that their downfall? No, it wasn't. They succeeded for a while after that. It was bad booking, bad decisions, bad financial decisions. There were a lot of things that went into it, but that wasn't any of it. Road Dogg and Billy Gunn go into a WWF or WWE commercial shoot in 2006 with Abyss and Tracy Brooks. Was that the downfall of TNA? Well, you could say that a lot of things with the downfall of TNA. That was not one of them. Billionaire Ted, Jim Cornette cutting shoot promos on Hogan and Piper, the DX invasion of WCW, Sami Zayn saying I might go to AEW, Kurt Angle saying I hear TNA is hiring, John Cena referencing TNA. Have any of those been the downfall of WWE or WWF? I don't think so. This stuff is harmless banter. Harmless banter. Now, I get it. Every time a wrestler would get fired and then go to Impact, they would cut that promo. This is a little bit different. Look up and down that AEW roster. We're gonna take a look right now. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Miro situation with WWE, but they offered him multiple contracts. He did not sign them. Then they released him. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Matt Cardona's situation, but they offered Matt Cardona, the former Zack Ryder, a contract last WrestleMania season, and he didn't sign it. He was still on the fence about it. Matt Cardona's contract with WWE would have been expired already by now. His deal was up in August. They released him in April. He got paid for May, June, July. His deal was only going to last like a month later. It didn't look like he was re-signing. Now, I know there's the sense of WWE cast-offs, and do I think they're leaning too heavily on former WWE people as champions? I do. But look up and down that roster. FTR, they wanted out. Brody Lee, he wanted out. Cody Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, Jake Hager, Jon Moxley, Matt Hardy, Pac, the former Neville, wanted out. Shawn Spears, wanted out. Up and down the roster, it's of people that wanted out. Really, you could look at Taynara Conti as somebody in the last couple of years. Really, the only person I'm looking at that got released outright, didn't have a contract dispute, but she also asked for her release in January. She made it work, but even then, she asked for her release. These aren't like a lot of people that WWE just didn't want. They stashed talent away for years. Is there anything wrong with that? No. There's not. They had the money, the funds, the ability to do it, and these people signed on the dotted line. But they did stow away talent for a very, very long time. So I hate to tell you guys this, but a lot of the free agents out there are going to have worked for WWE because they hoarded talent for a very long time. Speaking of people that got released by WWE, Serena Deeb. I guess she's one you could say got outright released, but she wasn't wrestling. She was a coach. And she got brought in. I would imagine Marty had something to do with that, but that's speculation, just things that I've heard. But she's 34 years old. She had not wrestled a match in over 3 years since the Mae Young Classic. Before the Mae Young Classic, she hadn't wrestled in 2 years. Before that, she hadn't wrestled in a year. So we're looking at a woman who had wrestled in 6 years, 4 matches before AEW. And that match with Thunder Rosa was so good. And I guess it's not a big surprise. Thunder Rosa has worked herself into some more work with AEW. Big shocker there. She's awesome. But Chris Jericho may have spilled the beans on Serena Deeb. He said Thunder Rosa had a hell of a debut on Dynamite last week in a great match against Serena Deeb. It got Serena signed, actually, I believe. If they're looking to accentuate their roster and add good workers, and she can work at that level consistently, that's a good one. If you're looking in the ring, that's a good one. They're going to get Britt Baker back soon. Chris Statlander ain't coming back anytime soon, unfortunately. They got Tay Conti, who is going to evolve and get better. You got Thunder Rosa coming in a little bit. That's promising. That's very good. Ivelisse and Diamante are in, and outside of the tag team tournament, their work has been good. Anna Jay is going to develop. Abaddon is going to develop. They have to sign a lot of these women pretty early on. That way they get the jump on them. So I think that Serena is probably a pretty good in-ring signing, and she can probably help coach some people along too. Having people that will be helpful towards the growth of Abaddon and Anna Jay and people like that, good move. We have a couple of super chats as we wrap up. You can still get yours in. Angel Osorio says, hey, Sean, love the channel. Do you think Dominic will win the steel cage match tonight? And do you think Retribution will invade Raw tonight? I don't think Retribution will invade Raw tonight. I think we'll get another video package. I don't think Dominic is going to win the cage match. He shouldn't. He should never win a straight-up one-on-one match with Seth Rollins until, like, years from now. But we're looking at 3-4 weeks, and this is his 6th match against Rollins and Murphy. Rollins or Murphy. 5th against Rollins. They got to stop doing this, man. They got to stop doing these matches to death to the point to where you never want to see him again. Now, I understand that Dominic is somebody that they are invested in right now, and Rollins has good chemistry with him. And I've had people say, oh, so you want cold matches? No, but I've seen this. Rollins beat him twice. I don't need to see it again. But do I think the match will be good? Yes, I think the match will be good. I think Rollins will end up taking a dive from Dominic. I think it'll be pretty entertaining. Rob Wilkins says, USA Network with NBC and Universal has to be getting tired of the numbers. WWE getting repetitive with their matches tells people, just come back next week. USA should deal with Impact. Hire Cyrus to rep the network. Oh, I love that storyline on ECW on TNN where Cyrus, now Don Callis, represented the network. That was pretty good stuff because they did have an uphill battle against the network. And I was a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of watching the same matches over and over again. I'm not. Expand the roster. Bring in somebody that's a little bit more creative. Do something else that will help you stand out. That will help you draw in new viewers. Don't want to draw that comparison, but you got another show on Wednesdays that's doing pretty well at that. Well, I hope I did pretty well here. Apologies, had to cough. I don't know how often I'll do these. I don't know if there will be a schedule. I don't know how any of that will work. But I'm looking at new ways to bring you guys content. These are not things that traditionally we would cover on Listin' Ya Boy. It's not something I cover on the Backstage Report because I cover exclusive news over there on FightfulSelect.com. Subscribe now. Or the Raw, Smackdown shows. And I want to bring you guys some more news, but I want to do it in a manner that isn't just like one story. I could do that. It would flood the channel. I don't know how well that would work. It seems like you all have liked the less is more approach of late. I see that I've missed a super chat. Throwback 27 says, Newton winning for the Pats was great. I did love that. I find myself actually rooting for the Patriots to succeed with Cam Newton. On break, listening. Thank you for making my lunch break great, Sean. Converting football fans to Pat fans. Any news on the Cross injury? Excited for the end of the month. So, Karrion Kross separated his shoulder. I don't think that surgery was required. I know that he got right into rehab that week. I'm pretty sure he was taking care of himself pretty early on. It's going to be a while before he's back. I'm not talking like 9-10 months or anything, but I would expect it to be a while before he's back. I don't know when I'll be back. But I know I'll be back tonight. I know I'll be back tonight for Raw. Don't know if I'll be back for these news updates. Tell me if you like them in the comments. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe. I know I beat you guys over the head with that, but it's important. It's important. And you're important to me. Thank you guys so much. We're out.